Hello, everyone. Thank you for being with us today. I'd like to welcome each of you to another, what we refer to as a FranTastic InSights video segment. This is a podcast whereby we introduce you to some very prominent personalities, all of whom are having a very positive impact on the ever-growing world of franchise, or franchising, I should say. My name is David Craghead. I'm the Chief Franchise Expansion Officer for FranServe, and today I'll be your host for this week's FranTastic InSights video segment. I can tell you for the past 11 years, FranServe has been recognized as the world's largest franchise consulting and expansion organization. We have a very simple mission, and that is we change people's lives. We do that in a very positive way through franchise ownership, and we do that through a network of incredible franchise brands in 39 different industry categories. All of our growth initiatives are supported by a growing portfolio of franchise consultants. The industry refers to them as franchise brokers. They're all the same person. They're all doing the same job. They're dedicated to helping their clients explore franchise opportunities, which are deemed to be a perfect match for their individual search criteria. And today I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Jim Calabrese. Oh gosh, Jim, I sure hope I pronounced your name correctly. But anyway, if I didn't, Jim will correct me. Jim is
That was good.
is that good enough? He's an old school Italian, okay? And he's also the franchise development director for the franchise brand known as Mr. Handyman. I love it when a brand name tells you what they do. And I think by the name Mr. Handyman, you know what their franchisees do. But it's more than that. And they are owned by the neighborly family of home service brands, all of which share a very common goal and a commitment to providing their clients with outstanding service. And they do that by living up to what they refer to as a neighborly done right promise, meaning that if it's not done right, the good folks at Neighborly promise to make it right. As I briefly mentioned to you, Jim is going to be speaking to us about the business model for the franchise brand, Mr. Handyman. So, Jim, thank you for joining us today. And as I pass the microphone over to you this afternoon, please share with us your business model description and the latest perspective for Mr. Handyman.
Well, thank you, David. I appreciate the time you're giving me to speak to everybody out there. I'm going to steal a little bit of your thunder. I mean, Neighborly is the world's largest franchisor in the country. We have 19 brands in Canada, 19 brands in the United States. We also have 13 brands in Europe. Mr. Handyman has to be one of them. The nice thing about all of our brands is that they're all in the home service industry. One of the things I will add, though, is although we take care of homes, we also take care of all light commercial businesses like doctor's office, et cetera, et cetera. Mr. Handyman itself is kind of unique. And the reason I say it's unique is because we do so many different things. We don't do just one thing. We have about 100 to 150 different types of jobs that a handyman can actually take care of. And as I said, we're part of the Neighborly Group. All of our franchisees basically have completely protected territories wherever they are, which means that one handyman cannot go into another handyman's area to do any business. So it's a nice, safe place to be. Sometimes they overlap, but usually our franchisees are pretty comfortable with each other, and sometimes they'll give someone permission to go forward. Mr. Handyman itself was basically started in 1996. It was founded in Boston, Massachusetts. They eventually moved to Ann Arbor, Michigan in 2000. They started franchising the brand on their own. We purchased them in 2015. At that time, they had 90 locations throughout the United States and Canada. We currently have somewhere close to 390 locations throughout the United States and Canada. So in 11 years, we've grown it by 300 territories. What else can I add? You have anything for me?
You mentioned something that I am so appreciative and respectful of, and that's the fact that, and I may not say this exactly right, Jim, you can correct me, but with all the Neighborly brands, there's this thing called cross marketing where one brand supports another and that brand supports another, and you really help each other out. And I think that would be a huge benefit for a brand new franchisee, would it not be?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Between all 19 brands, They all have at least 200 locations around the country. We actually share each other. We refer each other to each other constantly. There's nobody gets charged for it. Nobody gets paid for it. We just do it to help each other grow. Matter of fact, I mean, neighborly, as far as Handyman is concerned, we probably receive more referrals from our other brands than anybody else. And the reason being, it goes back again to how many different types of work we do. There are at least 150 different types of jobs that a handyman can do inside and outside the home, which really helps because as they grow their business, about 40% of their revenue will come from repeat business, which is probably one of the only brands that has that kind of a high degree of repeat customers coming forward.
That builds in some residual income as well, I guess, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Actually, I think uh, Mr. Rooter is probably the brand that gives us the most referrals because of the fact that they go out there, they fix somebody's leak, they fix a flood, but they can't fix the house. We can go in there and fix everything within the house.
Impressive. Very good. I would imagine that your franchisees quite often meet a homeowner when they're having a very bad day. Is that correct?
Yeah, sure they do. Absolutely.
Okay. So they
But
have to.
we make the day better for them. There's no doubt about that.
Good.
Um, Interesting enough that typically a homeowner will use a Mr. Handyman between 7 to 10 times a year. And the thing about it is that no matter what's going on, whether we're having COVID or whether we're having horrible weather or whatever's going on, things around the house still break and they've got to be fixed. So for that reason, we're constantly getting repeat customers calling us to do something different.
Got it. And at the beginning of your presentation, when you first started speaking about your relationship with Mr. Handyman, you touched on the fact that there's not only a residential component, but it's also a commercial. Is there a ratio that you're trying to achieve with both commercial and residential businesses?
Yes, in the beginning, when they first open up, maybe for the first year or two, we recommend that our owners do about 75% residential, 25% commercial. Now, the commercial end of the business usually has bigger jobs in the beginning, um, but they need they require almost instantaneous repair. For instance, if a retail has a broken door, he can't wait until tomorrow. He has to have it done right away. Uh, but actually, the types of jobs that a handyman can do that are residential, uh, they can actually grow into kitchen remodels, bathroom remodels, building $20,000 decks on the back of a home. So as the business grows, the scale and the cost of the jobs become much higher. David just left me. I must have said something wrong.
No, I've got a new phone here and it's driving me crazy. I'm trying to figure out how to kill it. Um, you lose one phone or one goes out and you have to replace it and you have to relearn it all over again.
Absolutely.
And now, Jim, our consultants, our brokers have accepted the responsibility to help you find qualified, screened, vetted applicants for Mr. Handyman. How would you describe the perfect franchise applicant for your brand?
Okay. Well, in the past, the handyman people came basically from the general contracting business, or they actually owned a handyman business. I'd say over the last 7 to 10 years, it's actually changed. It's flipped, which has really truly helped us not only grow more franchisees, but grow a bigger volume of business for them. We're actually looking for people who have had some kind of business acumen. People who have maybe had a team of salespeople or marketing people, somebody who has run a business already, not necessarily a handyman or a general contractor. So we're looking for somebody who has some kind of knowledge of running a business, someone who will put in 100% of it in the beginning. We do not do absentee ownership. In the beginning, if somebody has a job that they don't want to leave, we'll allow that to go on. However, for the first maybe 3 months or so, we really need to put in about at least 20 to 30 hours per week into the business. And then after that, they can bring on the manager and have it run that way. But we do not look for semi-absentee ownership. And we look for people who have at least enough finances to be able to run a business. We look for basically 50 to $100,000 of liquid capital and about $250,000 worth of net worth.
Tell us about the design metrics of your territories. How are they created?
Interesting. Ours is very different than every brand that we have at Neighborly. Most of them do it by population. We set up our territories by what we call targeted households, households in general, but targeted households meaning higher income and higher property value. So we set up by zip codes, and any home, any apartment complex, or any commercial business that's in that territory belongs to that franchisee, but we only charge them for the targeted households, which are higher income and higher property value. They are protected territories. Sometimes we will open up with one territory. Sometimes we'll actually open up to a double territory. That's as big as we will get on the first initial new owner coming in.
Okay. And as your new franchisees move into their territory, they begin servicing it. Tell me about the scaling opportunities that they have, maybe not in the first year, but their business matures.
Okay, well, it's a very scalable model. Number one, usually we don't let somebody open up a second territory until the first year. We don't want to put them in any kind of financial problem. So we want to make sure that they're doing well, the business is going well, etc. Sometimes we can bend that a bit if, in fact, someone has a very large amount of assets and they're not going to get hurt by it financially. But usually it's about a year. At that point, they can open another territory or another two territories. They can also scale into other brands, which is a nice thing. So they can basically open up an empire for their own. Start out with Mr. Handyman, add the Mr. Electric, add the Mr. Plumber, or Molly Maid, or whatever, and they can own quite a few different brands within that area.
Well,
And the
that's
area
impressive.
escalates. So the more territory they buy, the territory space gets bigger, or they can move into another state. They can whatever they want to do. They just have to have an office in whatever state that they're located in.
Well, mentioning office, so tell me about the real estate requirements. What do they look like?
Very simple requirements. No brick and mortars need to be built. We require a very small office, something about 300 or 400 square feet. Nothing that the customer would ever come to. It's basically just for the owner and his employees to work from. Someplace that they can meet on a Monday morning, decide what the jobs are, make sure everybody has the materials necessary, but something that is very, very inexpensive. Maybe something on a major road where they could put up a Mr. Handyman sign and get road traffic also.
Very good. Are there some warehousing requirements for the equipment?
Not not really. Most of the handyman people, they basically pick up what they need the beginning of the week or the beginning of the day. Very little requirements for warehousing. We would like them, if possible, if they don't allow their franchise, the technicians to take the vehicle home, we'd like them to be able to park it within the gated area, something that's protected. But a lot of our franchises actually let the technician take the vehicle home. It's a kind of a perk for them. They don't have to use their own vehicles, go back and forth to work.
And for the benefit of our brokers who are watching this recording, tell us about any really desirable hot territories around the country that you would like for us to help you fill.
Okay, well, most of the East Coast is pretty much sold. Like Florida, we have maybe one or two cities left that we're able to sell. We started on the East Coast and moved to the Midwest. We're now really growing in the mountain states and in California. Uh, so California is wide open. There are other territories available, like Columbia, South Carolina. It's a great territory. Why it's still available, I have no idea. But we do have many, many territories in the Midwest that are also available. Areas around Chicago, areas around Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio, that area.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. I appreciate your very thorough answers. That's very helpful. You're painting a very good picture for us.
Thank you.
For a brand new franchisee that they sign their franchise agreement, they pay their franchise fee, how much time it goes past from that point until they have the ribbon cutting ready to open and start serving their first customer? What's that time frame
Okay.
look like?
Great question, David. We spend a lot of time preparing our owners before they open up. When they first get awarded the franchise and they actually pay the funding to become an owner, first thing they do is they start out with a Sure Start training coach. It's a woman. Her name is Rita Ross. Rita's been with us about 11 years, so she really knows what she's doing. And they go through 8 to 10 weeks of training. It'll be done on a webinar, so they don't have to go anyplace for it. They'll get homework assignments to read, homework assignments to complete. And then they spend about 5 hours out of one of those days going over everything with Rita. Once they finish those 8 to 10 weeks, then they're required to come to Dallas, Texas for 4 days where they meet with the operations team. And what they do is they set up their first year business plan, first year marketing and advertising plan. They meet their business coaches. They work with the Short Start business coach again, work with the VP of operations, etc. Once they go through that week, most people feel that, okay, I'm ready to go and open up my doors. We go one step further, and it's a very important step. We have them spend about 4 days with an actual owner who's been trained to teach new owners. So they actually have the life of a Mr. Handyman over for 4 days, see how that person operates his business. They work with the customer service representative to see how they handle customers and give them quotes. We do quotes actually without even having to go into the home. And they actually get on a van with the technician and see how they handle a customer. After they finish that, then they're ready to open up the door. So it's about a 3-month process.
And it sounds like there's, and I'm assuming now, correct me if I'm wrong, there's probably some continuing education that goes beyond that. Would that be correct?
Yes, absolutely. There's total continuing our uh, training. We do it mostly through webinars and formats that we send them that they can actually study on their own. They can actually refresh themselves that way. We have the same type of training for the technicians and the customer service people. So the nice thing is that they own the business, they go through training, but they're never on their own. Any kind of questions they have, which is another thing that we haven't talked about, and I'll just leave it open for you, but our franchisees are probably the biggest help of any of our franchises because they truly want them to succeed. The more they succeed, the better off they do for all the brand.
Makes sense. Now, as you continue to grow this business model across the country, are you experiencing any regional influences from one part of the country to another? I mean, like the climate in California is different from what it is in New Jersey. So, does that affect the work ethic or work or the jobs that your Mr. Handyman franchisees complete?
No, not really. I don't think there's much of a difference between anywhere within the country that our franchise owners have. I mean, obviously, in the winter months, or if you're in North and South Dakota or Minnesota, which is an area I used to cover a long, long time ago when I was a salesman, I mean, that can stop you from doing some of the work outside. However, the work inside never stops. So, depending upon what percentage of business you do inside or outside, will affect what kind of volume you're doing.
Excuse me. Are there any aspects of the Mr. Handyman offering that are changing? Do you expect any significant changes over the next 1 to 3 or even the 3 to 5 year point?
I No, I really don't think so. Again, because we already are doing everything that they could possibly do inside or outside the home. I don't see much changing there at all. I don't believe the types of people we're looking for is going to change. The only things that are going to change is number one, I'll tell you what. We are always trying to be ahead of everybody else with technology, whether it be AI or something like that. But our technology and our systems are constantly changing as we think that is necessary. We always try to stay ahead of our competition.
Guess what I was really trying to say, and I didn't frame that question as well as I should have. Are there tasks that you're adding to the repertoire that the Mr. Handyman franchisees are completing, like window replacement or heating and air conditioning, that type of thing?
Well, heating and air conditioning, things like that, no, our techs would never do. I mean, that's a totally different type of business. Windows and doors, that's always part of what we do. Windows, doors, wallboard, trim, flooring, concrete driveways. I mean, things like we can do pretty much everything, except we cannot do uh, anything that requires a master license or anything that requires something like heating and air conditioning and plumbing.
What about light electrical?
We take care of any kind of changes in lighting, fans, or whatever. Anything that does not require a master license in electrical or plumbing, we have the ability to do. Now, again, I mentioned that people doing kitchen remodels and bathroom remodels. Well, obviously, you need electricians, and plumbers. So if there is a Mr. Rooter or a Mr. Electric, they use that other franchise. If not, they're never allowed to use a subcontractor to go out there and do the business. We try to do less of that because we want to control the type of work that we do.
Okay. Well, Jim, thank you for being very thorough. I'm at the bottom of my list of questions. If there's one takeaway from this interview today that we may not have touched on, that you'd want our viewers and our audience members to be aware of, what would that be?
I touched on it very briefly, but you always have the support of management. You always have the support of our operations team, which are probably some of the best around. Our operations team, the people on it have been working at Mr. Handyman between 7 to 11 years. So it's a very strong operation team. That's number one. But the other thing is, I mentioned briefly the franchisees. Honestly and truly, the friendliest group of franchisees, the most helpful group of franchisees. I almost want to tell you a quick story. I don't know if I have a minute to tell it.
You sure do.
Okay, but it gives you a really good idea about how they help each other. We have an owner in Knoxville, Tennessee, and she and her husband purchased a Mr. Handyman in 2016. In 2016 and 2017, they were what we call Top Gun earners. They did over $1 million their first year and well over that their second year. Unfortunately, the third year, her husband passed away. So she thought she was most likely to sell the business. First thing that happened was that 40 different owners for all of our different brands went to her husband's funeral to support her. The second thing that happened is 8 different Mr. Handyman franchisees on their own dime, nobody asked them to do it. Each of them spent 2 weeks with her at Knoxville, Tennessee, to show her how she can actually continue running the business. Well, that was in 2018. She still owns the business. She has 15 techs working. She has 18 vans, 3 customer service people, multi-million-dollar business. And if it wasn't for the franchisees, which I think is so important for us, she would have sold the business and never had this opportunity. I don't know.
Wow.
Hopefully that helps.
That is a huge testimonial. My goodness. I don't
Yes.
know of any other organization that can even come close to that type of support.
I agree. Another real fast story. I have a brand new owner, a single woman in Pennsylvania. She actually owned another franchise. She owned 3 locations of another franchise. I won't mention what the name was. Had nothing to do with home service. And when she started talking to me, she said, I want to do this, but I'm afraid of opening up another franchise. And I said, why? She said, well, she said, our company, our franchisees don't talk to each other. I
Oh,
get no help from management.
wow.
Our franchisees go on vacation together. Okay. They really truly are. They were very, very friendly. I spoke to her yesterday, as a matter of fact, because she's going to do a validation for me. She's only been an owner now for 3 months. And she said, Jim, she said, I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. I'm closing all my other locations of the other company. I'm taking that money and I'm going to open up another franchise with you. She said, I want another location. She said, the amount of help I've got from your franchisees in the 3 months, I haven't gotten in 7 years from another company. So, uh,
Wow.
true stories.
And that's all volunteered too, right?
All volunteer. Nobody asked them to do it, and they all want to do it. They all want to help each other. For every location that has a good representation and good reputation, it only helps everybody else grow.
Wow. Man, that speaks volumes for the people inside the organization. That's
Absolutely.
fantastic.
You
Well,
want a
Jim,
franchise, David?
say what?
I
Do I
said, you want
want?
to buy a franchise?
No, 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 no. If I was 20 years old, I'd probably do it, but I'm not
There you
20
go. Me too.
anymore. Well, Jim, I want to sincerely thank you for the privilege of your time today.
Thank you, man.
you've been very thorough, and I appreciate that. This entire interview will be posted on the FranServe support site. It'll be archived in the FranServe library, and it'll be distributed nationwide and to sent to each one of our brokers around the country. It'll also be uploaded to Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So with,
Fantastic.
with that, Jim, we will adjourn today's FranTastic Insights. And once again, thank you, sir. Appreciate your help.
David, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Take
Bye bye
care.
now. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.